everybody, JC here from Toy News International, and it's time for another T&I toy review. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the new Mortal Kombat X 6-inch Scorpion figure from Mezco Toys. Now this figure is part of a wave of 3. The other 2 figures in this wave are Sub-Zero and Raiden. This is the first wave of Mortal Kombat X figures that Mezco's done. And it comes packaged, the packaging for all these figures is pretty much the same. You've got a black card back with the Mortal Kombat logo in the background. You've got the figure clearly displayed in the packaging. And then you've got the name of the character and the Mortal Kombat X logo down below. And you'll notice up here in the corner it tells us that this figure is for ages 17 and older. On the back of the packaging, we have a look at the character, we have a little brief bio, and then a look at the accessories that the figure comes with. Also, again, up in the corner, it tells us this figure is for 17 and older and is not a toy for children, intended for adult collectors only. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging. So as I mentioned, this is a new line of figures from Mezco Toys, and when it was first announced, I was definitely interested in getting my hands on it. Mezco is a company not been known for their articulation in the past on their figures, so I was definitely interested to see what they were able to do with these figures. And I've got to say, for the most part, I think they've done a pretty good job with articulation. I wouldn't necessarily call them super articulated, but definitely they've got a decent amount of articulation. So the figure's sculpting on it is quite nice, and the figure comes with a number of accessories. So he comes with his swords, the 2 swords you see him use in the video game. You know, this figure is based on the designs from the latest video game that was just released, which, by the way, I have not actually gotten or played yet. I would be interested to know from you all who have the game or played the game if you think it's worth getting. You know, I was a fan of the original Mortal Kombat growing up, and you know, a lot of the sequel games have kind of just been like basically repeats of the first game to me. So, you know, I wonder if is this new game different enough from the original to worth getting, or what. So let me know in the comments if you've played the game and what you think of it. But anyway, for the figure itself, so he comes with the 2 swords, and the swords look good. They look pretty true to what you see in the video game. Metallic silver paint used on the blades, and then you've got some nice detailing on the handles of the sword, and again look very true to what you see in the game. My only complaint with the swords is they did not give any place to store the swords on his back like you see in the video game, so he can hold the swords in his hands, but that's it. He also comes with the little chain things that he shoots out of his hands, and these are pretty cool. They basically, you can put them in either hand. He comes with 2 of them, so you can do in both hands. And the way it works is the hand, you just kind of, there's little holes or rings on the ends, and you just stick them, you take the hand off, you pop the hand off, and you thread the little peg on the hand through the hole. And you're gonna have to kind of push. It's a little difficult at first to do it, but you kind of have to push it in. And again, you have to kind of, the first time at least when you do this, because the peg on the hand is a little bit thicker than the actual hole. But once you get it in, then you just plug the hand back in, and it looks like he's shooting the little chains out of his hand like you see in the video game. So that's a cool effect. It would have been cool maybe if they'd given one where the chain wasn't quite as long, just so you had some variety in length of how far the chain was shooting, like maybe even almost where it's just kind of sticking out underneath his wrist. But still, I like this effect, and I like these accessories. They're nice. And then he comes with 2 sets of hands. So he's got open hands for like shooting the chain, and then he's got grippy hands for holding the swords, basically. Okay, so for the figure itself, I think they've done a pretty good job with the sculpting and the paint applications. I do think the skin tones are a little bit on the pale side, but otherwise I think it's a good solid paint job. Though I guess I would say maybe he's a little too clean looking. From what I have seen from like the trailers and stuff of the video game, it looks like he could use maybe a little more grunge to him, but still, for the most part, I think the figure looks good. I like how they've done the shirt. And so like down here at the bottom where it kind of comes over his His crotch, it's done with that kind of vinyl material, so you've got some flexibility there. And then even here, up here at the shoulders where the shirt kind of comes over his shoulder, they've made it that kind of soft vinyl material, so you've got some flexibility, so you can like rotate his arm and it doesn't really limit the rotation of the arm at all, which is nice. Now one thing I would caution is you can already see where the arm is kind of rubbed against that shirt and kind of scratched the paint a little bit. So, you know, I could see it over time wearing that material a bit. So just something to be wary of. But again, overall, I like the design of the figure. I like the look of it. Paint applications are pretty solid. You've got nice detailing with like all the little buckle pieces and everything, and the straps, the brown straps throughout the figure, on his arms and at his waist, even on his back and everything. So again, I think nice detailing. Got a little bit of wash work on the yellow to give it some added texture, and then you've got like the wrinkles and everything on the pants, so giving it that kind of baggy look. So I think the figure looks nice. Now they've also used that soft vinyl material for the hood of the figure. And the mask is actually removable, and this is one of my minor complaints with the figure. The mask does not fit very tightly on this figure, so it does have a tendency, especially when you start moving the head around a bit, has a tendency to kind of fall off, slip off the face. So I would have liked it if they had found a better way to attach it. You just kind of put it on over his nose and kind of stick it in there in that hood piece. But again, it just has a tendency to kind of fit loosely, so you want to be careful because that little mask is going to fall off easily if you move the figure around a lot. The face sculpt itself, again, very clean. He's got the whited out eyes. I don't know if he takes his mask off in the game or not, but they've definitely given that as an option for this figure. Okay, so this figure stands at just about 6 inches tall, maybe a hair over 6 inches. Here he is compared to the Jazzwares Mortal Kombat Scorpion figure, and the Jazzwares figure is maybe just a teeny bit taller, but for the most part they're about the same height. And while I've got these two figures together, comparing the two, I think both figures actually don't look too bad, but I like the overall way they've hidden the joints for the articulation on this figure. The biggest detraction from the Jazzware figure is like how you can see all the little pins here on his shoulders and on his waist area. So I like the design of the new Mezco figures a little bit better than these Jazzware figures. Also, and we'll go into more detail with articulation, but I do think the Mezco one has a little bit more articulation, mostly with like the ankle area of the figure. And like these don't have swivels at the knees or anything, so the Mezco one I think has a bit more articulation and does a better job of hiding the articulation than on the Mezco one, or on the Jazzwares one, I mean. And just for some additional 6-inch figure comparisons, here he is next to the Marvel Legends Iron Fist figure, and again they're about the same height. Iron Fist is maybe a little bit taller, but for the most part they're about the same height. Here he is next to the old Soda Toys 6-inch Street Fighter figure. This is Guile, and the Soda figure is definitely a bit taller than the Mezco one. Now just for one more comparison, here he is next to the Soda Toys Street Fighter Chun-Li figure, and Scorpion is a little bit taller than Chun-Li. And here he is next to another of the Jazzware Mortal Kombat figures, their Raiden figure, and again they're about the same height. The Jazzwares one maybe is a little bit taller, but for the most part they're about the same scale. And then finally, just for one more comparison, this is actually a 7-inch figure, but being it is a downloadable option in the video game, I thought it would make a good comparison. So this is NECA Toys, one of NECA Toys 7-inch Predator figures, and you can see definitely the Predator is a bit taller than the Mezco figure, but I think that actually kind of works, being as Predator I would think would be a bit taller. Okay, so for articulation on this figure, so as I said, Mezco in the past has not been known for their articulation in their figures, but I think they've done a pretty good job with giving this figure a fair amount of articulation while still making the figure look nice. The articulation definitely doesn't really hurt the look of the figure. So it's not quite as articulated as, say, a Marvel Legends figure, but I still, again, for the most part, think they've done a pretty good job here. So the head is on a ball joint, so he can look left and right. And I'm just going to take his mask off for a minute. And then he has a little bit of up and down movement with the head, not a whole lot. There may be a hinge there. It's the neck is basically covered by the vinyl material of the costume, so I can't see, but it does feel like there's a bit of a hinge joint there. So again, he has some up and down movement, and then good left and right movement with the head. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint, so he can get his arm out good. And as I said, he's got pretty good rotation there at the arm, even though the shirt comes out over the shoulder. He doesn't have a bicep swivel, but he does have swivel at the elbow. He's got a single hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow about that much. He's got the swivel wrists, and he's got hinges on both sets of hands, so he's got good up and down movement with the hands, for shooting out the chains and everything, which is nice. He does not have like an ab crunch joint. That's probably the weakest thing about the figure. But again, I think that would probably hurt the look of the figure if they tried to give it some kind of ab crunch, especially with the way they've designed the costume on this figure. So he does have a waist swivel though. Legs are attached with ball joints, so he can do the splits. Now, this is one of the areas where I have a little bit of a minor complaint. He can get his leg forward good, but when you do the legs forward, they do have a tendency to pop off the ball joint, so just be wary of that. Again, they're just attached with ball joints, but I found when you try and push the leg all the way forward like this, they have a tendency to fall off the ball, so just be wary. He's got the swivel here at the upper thigh. Single hinged knee, so he can bend his knee about that much. He's got a swivel at the knee as well. And then it's not really quite what I would call an ankle pivot, but basically the ankles are on some kind of ball joint, it looks like. So you do have some pivot, and you've got the swivel definitely, and you've got a little bit of up and down movement with the feet. So pretty good movement there with the ankle. Like I said, I wouldn't call it a full-on ankle pivot, but he does definitely have some pivot with the ankles. And then 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. And just want to clarify with the neck joint, upon taking a closer look, it looks like it's not a hinge joint, but they are using a double ball joint. So you've got the ball joint that fits up into the headpiece, and then the second ball that fits into the body of the figure, and it just pops in. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I think Mezco has done a pretty good job with this figure. The detailing with the sculpting and the paint applications are nice. The articulation is decent. My only real complaint with the articulation is how easily the legs kind of pop off when you push the legs forward. But otherwise, I think they've done a pretty nice job with this figure. Especially, it's a vast improvement articulation wise over previous figures I've seen from Mezco. And again, the detailing and the accessories are nice. My only complaints, as I said, I don't like how the leg easily pops off. And then it would have been nice if they had given him some kind of way to hold the swords on the back of the figure like you see in the video game. But I do like the accessories that we get, and again, I like the overall look of the figure. So this figure, along with the other 2 figures in the first wave, which are Sub-Zero and Raiden, are hitting shelves now. I know you can find these at Toys R Us stores. I'm not sure what other physical stores are carrying these. I don't know if like GameStop will be carrying these. I don't think Target or Walmart are carrying them, but definitely, if you want to pick these up, I would check Toys R Us. And then online e-tailers are also carrying these figures, places like Big Bad Toy Store. So that's my review. We'll have a full gallery of images up at toynewseye.com. There's a link in the description below. And as always, leave a comment, let us know what you think. And again, I'd really like to hear what you all think of the video game itself, the Mortal Kombat X video game, if you think it's worth purchasing or not. And if you're so inclined, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.